some of the produce items that are just peaking in September, October, November, and such. And along those lines are pomegranates. Pomegranates have been in the news a lot lately, called a superfood for some of their attributes. One of the families growing pomegranates here in California for a long time is, let me make sure I get this right, Simonian. I wrote it down so that I would be able to say it correctly, and now I don't have that sheet in front of me anymore. Well, you know what? I'm just going to ask him straight up. Jeff, there it is. Simonian. Wait, did I say Jeff, help me out here. How do you say your last name?
Simonian.
Simonian. I wrote it down thinking I was really smart the way I wrote it, and that's exactly how I wrote it. But sometimes I fool myself. At any rate, Jeff, thank you for coming on the program here to talk a little bit about pomegranates, because the season really picks up this month, does it not?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes, it does. Yeah, this is kind of the beginning of the pomegranate season. So October and November are actually the peaks, and then we kind of tail off after the first of the year.
And where do pomegranates grow in California? I know that your company is located just south of Fresno, but what's the growing range for these?
Yeah. Well, all the way south as far as Bakersfield, and then as far north up to, say, Merced. But the majority is kind of the Central Valley, like, a lot of our crops.
Right, exactly. That San Joaquin Valley seems to be about the right climate for just about everything, including pomegranates. But they didn't start here in North America. Their roots are in the Middle East?
Yes, that's correct.
And so I would imagine that many of the dishes involving pomegranates come from the Middle East, and there might be some people scratching their head saying, what do I do with this thing?
Yeah. No, that's true. We work very closely with the Pomegranate Council, and we do a whole part on educating people about pomegranates, and recipes is a big part of it.
Right, because you can have all the juice and prepackaged seeds that you can get at Trader Joe's now and such, but if you don't know what to do with it when you get it home, I know some people just skip that whole route and take pomegranate supplements and such, because they have been really... Pomegranates are like blueberries are one of those superfoods. What is it that's in a pomegranate that has all the studies and the doctors and the scientists saying, hey, this is something you should be working into your diet?
Well, the big one is the antioxidants. I mean, research has been done to say these have more antioxidants than green tea, than blueberries, and all these other superfoods. So that's really the thing that's been driving consumption. So
more than green tea and blueberries, ounce per ounce?
Yeah, it's from what the studies that we've seen. So
yeah. So Jeff, you grew up with pomegranates. I know I had a friend that had a pomegranate tree in his backyard. In fact, I have friends that have pomegranate trees in their backyard now too. But when I was a kid, we'd pull them off, and I remember sitting there on a hot summer day, or I guess it was a hot like late September day. You know how California is, and I was, you tear off big chunks of it, and then you have this white like skin that you had to pull off, and I was like, this is such a pain. But then I'd get a few seeds in my mouth, and I'd be like, oh, but it tastes so good. Do you have any tricks, like some family tricks because you grew up with these, for getting those seeds out with little work?
Yeah. Well, the big method that we try and teach people how to eat these things is kind of the underwater method.
Oh,
so where you would score them in quarters, almost like an orange, and then you would take each quarter under kind of a colander of water, and you just break them up. And the seeds are heavy, so actually they sink to the bottom, and then the membrane and the skin and everything floats to the top. So it's an easy way to kind of open them without making a mess.
If I remember correctly, that membrane is a little bit like it doesn't taste so good.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, you definitely don't want to eat that.
So through crossbreeding and such, have pomegranate growers like your family worked to increase the number of seeds that are inside these, or they're pretty much maxed out as they are?
No, it's the number that's in there is what's in there. So
yeah.
There has been some different things done on new varieties, and there's a couple that have come up, but it's not like a lot of these other crops where there's hundreds of varieties and crosses coming out.
It's pretty much one type of pomegranate, and that's it.
Yeah. The wonderful variety is kind of the main variety and the most popular variety, and and that's usually harvested in October. So a lot of customers and people look for that one.
And it's called the Wonderful variety?
It's called the Wonderful variety, correct.
Oh, so that makes sense with the brand Palm Wonderful.
Yeah, and that's they only grow the Wonderful variety, and that's kind of how their whole name came about. So.
Right. Okay, that makes total sense now. I know that within these berries or seeds, the outer portion of it is the juicy portion, and then there's a harder seed in the middle. Is there anything more you can get out of that seed? We just had somebody on the show that was talking about taking grape seeds and turning it into any number of things. Can you do that same thing with that hard inner core of the pomegranate?
Well, like most seeds in these fruits, that's where all the nutrients are. So I think there are some companies that are using the seeds and they're crushing them up, and I think some of those pomegranate pills and those different products they're making, I think they do come from the seed, but I really don't know myself. So
Right. And so is there anything tricky to picking these? Is it something that needs to be done by hand, or can you mechanize a system for picking pomegranates?
Well, fresh market, we pick them by hand. There have been some companies that pick them just for juice market, and they've used machines. But for the fresh market, we want them big and pretty and perfect, so we pick them by hand.
Right. How many of the pomegranates that your family grows go to, grocery stores and that sort of thing? And then do some of yours end up at farmers markets?
Most of them go to grocery stores, and then we actually send quite a few overseas. So it's a big item that's demanded overseas. So.
Right. You ship them to Asia or back to the Middle East where they're used to using them, or?
Well, the largest export market is Korea. They use, for it being a small country of maybe 60 million people or whatever it is, they take an enormous amount of pomegranates there.
Right. Really? Korea?
Yeah, Korea.
What I find them great in is salads. I love using it to give you that little bite to a salad, the same way you would use maybe some orange sections and that sort of thing. Well, Jeff Simonian, right?
Correct. You got
it. Good. Jeff Simonian of Simonian Fruit Company. You can find more information at simonianfruit.com, and that's spelled SIMONIAN fruit.com, talking about pomegranates being in season. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks again for having me.
All right, everyone. That does it for